Governor Simpson level. Jim, what would you tell a building owner? Why should you invest more to get a smarter building?
Worked with a number of buildings in New York City, and super high rents, and you get up a certain level, and your cell phone's not going to work because you're sort of above the traditional coverage. If you put a DAS in New York City, the cost is about $3.50 to $5 a square foot, potentially even more. So really big dollars. But the rents are so high that that's a pittance compared to the rents. So a lot of these guys would install the DAS to keep their customers happy and continue to drive the rents high in their buildings. The other thing that keeps going through my mind as I'm listening to all these smart guys next to me is a lot of this stuff is consumer driven too. So there's apps everywhere for everything that all of us use. And when you get to a place where it's not going to work, it's a frustrating thing. I was telling a story of my hotel that I'm not going to stay at anymore because my stuff doesn't work. So it's a big issue, and I think smart owners recognize that, and there's a big impact.
There was a great quote from Gartner a few years ago where they said they figured by this year about 80% of the recently installed wireless infrastructure in buildings would be obsolete, really based on this huge growth in the amount of capacity. So that's really what we've been advocating is really to work on the planning aspect of that and make sure that you're ahead of that and you've got the infrastructure in place, really to take advantage of all these smart applications that are coming.
We spend a lot of time talking about big buildings and stuff like that, but IHS is projecting that 12% of all homes in the world, 224 million homes, are going to be smart enabled in 2018. That's a lot of people, right? And they're not going to put up for re-cabling their house. They're just not. It's never going to happen, right? So what you've got to think about is how do I enable this market? How do I do it smartly? How do I do it at a low cost? What are the types of technologies that I can do to, I don't want to say retrofit, but I want to say retrofit these types of homes? Are there simple things that you can just plug into a wall?
The mindset is shifting from a cellular is a God-given right and the carrier should pay for it to it's an important attribute of the value of my campus, for example, and I'm going to plan to fund it. I'm going to think about it in new ways. And when I say that, when you talk to a lot of the higher ed, I find that people think, well, I don't have a large, high-demand stadium, so I can't get a carrier interested in putting it in for me. But when we shift their thinking to the value of it for their student, their administration, their visitors across their entire campus, add to that public safety, there's different fund buckets that they're already planning on. All right, so now they're shifting to saying, well, wait a minute, I'm going to do an allocation that comes out of the technology fund. I, as a father, get to pay for it out of tuition. But, and they're rethinking, I'll say, the way they actually fund it, because the value of making sure you have coverage on campus